And that's why when you rent a house to a tenant, you have a right to require the rent and some conditions for renting my house. And why? Because the house belongs to me. That rent, that token, that rent is a token that I am the owner. You are the owner. You are of infinity. You should demand the rest of your life in everything that you do. What's my dream tonight? Now, I don't have clarity about this dream, okay? It's something to do with the commandment that I hear in the Torah. God said that you have to spare the first fruit of all your labor to others. It came upon me after the dream, and upon my waking state, I began to realize greater significance of this verse than it was before. Essentially, I am of infinity. And it is very important that I remember that I am of infinity. The world may call upon me to do some action, to do some goals, to perform a career. That's fine. I have to do them. But the first fruit doesn't really belong to the world. The first fruit belongs to infinity. And what does that mean? It means that I've always to remember the rest of the moment. Whether I'm working very hard or not, creating for myself material gains in this world. All these, as I'm doing them, I need to remember the rest of the moment. Because that rest is a special token of infinity. And I must remember myself with that rest, because I'm of infinity. In Singapore, if you own a land, you have to pay property tax for that land. And why? Because the property tax is a token that the land does not belong to the man. It still belongs to the state. That's the point. There is infinity in us, and we must not forget that infinity. Now, if you put on your clothes, if you followed my last video, the universe is expanding at the edge of nothingness. Our body is expanding. And if we don't remove our clothes, we will never experience the edge of our body. We will never experience the infinity that is all around the body. And why am I afraid to be nothing? The token of this nothingness must always be with me, for it is where I come from. Infinity. Why on the Sabbath day? That's why on the Day of Atonement, which is the Sabbath of all Sabbaths, it is commanded that a man should take a rest. And why? to experience infinity, the cessation of all work. Why? Because that is infinity. And that's why I feel very good when I am nothing. So somehow I return back to infinity in that nothingness. And that is why there must be a token of that nothingness in everything that we do. That's why the first fruit of our labor should be given away. That's why there should be a rest on the seventh day. Why? Because we should have a token of nothingness. And it's commanded of us to do so in all the experiences of our life. Now, if you go to a Jewish synagogue, you will notice that the members of the synagogue does not pay tithes, but instead just pay a membership fee, a subscription for being a member of a club, for example. And why? Because if you pay tithes to the synagogue, you are actually saying that you belong to the synagogue. This is incorrect. You belong to infinity. Yes. But in the Torah, we were told to give tithes to the Kohen, to the Levites. And why are we told to do that? Because the Levites don't own the land. They divest themselves of every possession. So the Levites is a kind of infinity. And that's the reason why the Jewish people gave a token of 10% to the Levites. So it's very important that we should not give a portion to the church. And why? Because you don't belong to church. You belong to infinity. And that's why when you rent a house to a tenant, you have a right to require the rent and some conditions for renting my house. And why? Because the house belongs to me. That rent, that token, that rent is a token that I am the owner. You are the owner. You are of infinity. You should demand the rest of your life in everything that you do. So before I close this video, I want to say that in the very first place, we are all infinities. And deep inside our soul, we shine a light of the true observer. And because of that light, a reflection appears, coming back to us all. And we live in that reflection. We live in that mind that sees the world. But we must always remember that despite the mind that we see the world, the mind which is very, very hectic, a mind which is always concerned with desire, a mind which sees people all around to cooperate, to play with, to fight. But despite the mind that is being reflected back to us, we are the one who actually shine it. We are the true owner. And therefore I have to place a stake on my true ownership. And what is that stake? That's right, I have to take the rest of my soul. I have to remember to take the rest of my soul. So in all the thoughts that are moving around in my mind, I have to make sure that I hear the voice of the thoughts and not just the thoughts itself. I must make sure that when I hear the voice of the thoughts, that the thoughts is breathed from within me. I have to make sure of that. That's right. So that I take a stake in this universe. So that I take a stake in infinity. Because I am he who shines the light that reflects a mind in me. So I have to place my stake. I'm the owner. I am infinity. Notice very carefully, the mind that I'm having, I don't throw them away. That's right, I don't. The people that's around me, they're all very important in my life. Very important. I don't go up to the monasteries or go to the mountains and escape from the world. No, they're very important. I play the game in this world. Why? Because this world is I created from the truth observer that shines out. Yes, it's my creation, so how should I throw it away? No, I would not. But rather, instead of throwing it away, I place a stake of my ownership in the world. And what is that stake? The rest of my soul. The voice within me that speaks true, that is reflected back to me in my thoughts. I place a stake at that. That's right. So in other words, I'm in the promised land, a land of my own promise.